Beneath the veneer of modern esoteric practice lies an ancient predatory current, the weaponization of the Jezebel archetype. To the dark occultist, Jezebel is not merely a historical figure or a biblical relic. She is a potent, adaptable egregore, a synthetic spirit of seduction, control, and spiritual castration. By intentionally invoking this destructive energy, practitioners construct psychological webs designed to isolate, manipulate, and ultimately consume their target. It is the art of weaponized charm, where vulnerability is harvested, autonomy is dismantled, and the victim is bound to a toxic illusion crafted by the sorcerer's will. In theological deliverance ministry and spiritual warfare context, the spirit of Jezebel refers to a demonic or archetypal force characterized by manipulation, intimidation, seduction, and a relentless drive for power and control. While traditional dark occultisms generally focus on different frameworks of energy, deity worship, or self-deification, individuals who operate in manipulative or predatory spiritualities often described as engaging in spiritual abuse or dark spiritual arts, utilize these specific behavioral and spiritual dynamics for personal gain. The dynamic of control and domination, targeting weak leadership. The Jezebel archetype traditionally operates by attaching itself to a figurehead who holds institutional or public authority, much like the biblical Queen Jezebel over King Ahab. In dark spiritual or cultic dynamics, an operator will seek out a leader who is insecure, morally compromised, or easily swayed. Emasculation and subversion. The goal is to weaken the true authority figure from within, making them dependent on the occult practitioner for guidance, validation, or spiritual power. Gaining power by proxy. By pulling the strings of the person in charge, the practitioner wields immense influence, accumulates wealth, or steers organizations without ever having to take direct responsibility or face public scrutiny. Seduction or pharmakeia, also known as spiritual seduction. Counterfeit spirituality. Practitioners utilizing this dynamic often masquerade as highly spiritual, enlightened, or prophetic. They use flattery, charm, and seemingly profound insights, often mixed with false doctrines or esoteric ideas, to disarm their targets. Sensual and emotional enmeshment. Seduction here extends beyond physical attraction. It is deeply emotional. The practitioner creates a codependent trauma bond, making the victim feel that their spiritual growth, success, or salvation is entirely dependent upon the practitioner. Exploitation of appetite. In both biblical texts and esoteric allegories, this spirit uses indulgence, such as unchecked sexual freedom or material access, to lower the spiritual defenses of targets, making them compliant and easily blackmailable or controllable. Intimidation and the Elijah syndrome. Silencing the opposition. When confronted or exposed, the energy shifts instantly from charm to fierce aggression and intimidation. Practitioners will attempt to publicly humiliate, discredit, or spiritually threaten anyone who sees through their facade, inducing despair and paranoia. On a spiritual level, this dynamic is said to project heaviness, confusion, and irrational fear onto opponents. A classic example in spiritual warfare literature is how the otherwise fearless prophet Elijah was driven into a state of suicidal depression and isolation simply by the threat of Jezebel. Isolating the target. To secure their gain, practitioners isolate their victims from friends, family, or foundational support systems, making it nearly impossible for the victim to seek objective help. Lastly, usurping authority for financial or material gain. The Naboth vineyard principle. In the biblical account, when King Ahab could not get what he wanted legally, Jezebel fabricated false charges, manipulated the elders, and had the owner, Naboth, murdered simply to seize his property. Financial exploitation. Dark operators use manipulation and spiritual intimidation to fleece followers out of money, assets, or property, justifying their greed as a guise of spiritual enlightenment or divine right or destiny. Please note that in mainstream occultism and modern witchcraft, practitioners generally distance themselves from manipulative archetypes like Jezebel, preferring concepts of personal autonomy, natural alignment, or neutral ceremonial magic. The utilization of the Jezebel spirit specifically describes parasitic spiritual abuse and predatory manipulation, whether practiced in a circular cult or a corrupt religious setting, or an unregulated esoteric group. In the end, the target is left an empty husk, drained of their vitality, alienated from their allies, and utterly dependent on the sorcerer's fabricated reality. The dark occultist cares nothing for genuine connection. To them, the spirit of Jezebel is merely a tool of psychic vampirism. It is the ultimate spiritual subversion, where the victim's own desires are weaponized against them, leaving them bound to an invisible prison long after the dark rituals have ceased. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.